A very important tool to use when trying to keep very clean models is a tool called Cleanup. Uh, it's another extension warehouse tool that you would install by going to the extension warehouse, and you can search Cleanup. And the one that we're looking for is this one right here called Cleanup 3 by TomTom. Again, you would just click here, and then when it comes up, you'll see the install button. You can click install to and just follow the on-screen instructions to put it in place. Once it's installed, it should be ready to go. You'll find it under extensions, Cleanup right here. And really the way it would work, the first time you do it, you would use this clean, and then you can do clean with last settings every time after that, unless you want to do something very specific. But I'll get into that in a second. Another thing, like most other tools, I have this set up as a hotkey. So if you come to we'll go find our hotkeys, which will be under Window Preferences, under Shortcuts, and we can look up Cleanup, and you can see Cleanup with last settings. And this one, I have it set as my tilde, which is just to the left of the number 1 and just above the tab key. It's just an easy place for me to reach, and it's an abstract key, and it's a great place for me to have this hotkey set. And really what this does, I can show you some quick examples. Say we have this box and it has this line separating it. So typically you just this line is erroneous. It does nothing for us right now, at least. There might be other specific reasons you want it, but right now there's no value to this line here, and we would want it erased. Now you can simply come in here and erase it, but when you get into more complex situations, it can be much more difficult to try and erase individual lines. So what we would do, the first time we would run this, we'd select everything in there, and you would run Cleanup and then Clean. And these are the settings I typically use. It's whatever is selected, because sometimes you don't want the whole model clean, so you just want whatever you have selected clean. So that's an important piece. Purge anything unused, so it's a great way to keep your model clean throughout drawing. The other important ones are merge coplanar faces, so if you have two faces sitting on top of each other that you can't really see, it just merges them and helps clean things up. Repair split edges is another great feature, and I'll explain that more in a second. Erase stray edges is a very important one. And smooth edges is set to 20. It just helps keeps things looking rounded. And so then we would run Cleanup. And so you can see that this edge will get removed because it's not required and will be considered a stray edge. So when I hit Cleanup, you'll see that disappears. So now that I have my settings set, again, my hotkey is now set to clean with last settings. So my settings are set, and I never have to touch that again unless there's a reason that I want to. But split edges, so let's see, if I come in here and draw this line, you can see that this line is now made up of two separate segments. And really where that comes in, say I have that line there and I do a push-pull, you can see I have that line there. And this line is separated in segments. And what will happen if I select everything and I hit my hotkey, that line disappears because it's not needed, and this line is now repaired to be one line instead of two separate segments. So it's an important and efficient way of keeping things clean. Now, throughout modeling, maybe you have something happens where this line gets softened. If I hit W, which is my hotkey for showing hidden lines, which a really quick tutorial on hidden lines is, this is the way SketchUp makes rounded surfaces. It's a segmented arch, and you can see that this is literally a rectangle that is just rotated about a center point that makes it look rounded. If I turn off hidden edges, it looks like a cylinder. But you can see if I put hidden edges back on, it's showing what's really going on. Now in circles, you can make things. I can select the outside edge. Shift E is set for entity info, which is also found under window entity info, and you can see that I can change the number of segments in which makes the arch. I hit 96. It's a large number of segments, and pull up, and you can see the difference in how small the rectangles are getting compared to this. But you can see that this really starts to look more and more smooth, especially from the top view compared to this one here. So the more segments you put in, the smoother it'll look, but realize that you're also going to slow down your model if this becomes, say, a highly copied component that becomes a large number of segments. That's really unnecessary. Most times a 24 or 48 will look fine. If it's a very highly noticeable area, maybe you do want to go a little higher. Anyway, that's a little tangent piece about hidden lines and why they might appear. So if I get rid of those and I have this hidden line that came about from some modeling piece, but if I have hidden lines not on, you might not see it. If I select all and run my smooth command, you see it gets rid of it. And really where that becomes important, if I undo and put this back on and I make this a group, I turn my hidden lines off. Now this looks like a solid. Everything in here is telling me this is a solid. I can't see anything of why it wouldn't be a solid. But if I come here to try and use my solid tools, this is going to tell me it's not a solid. Now what I can do is come in here, select everything, run my clean command, and try it again, and you'll see that it's now a solid. And so this is one of the tools that's really going to help in keeping a clean model and create very clean, solid pieces. It's a great way to help in that manner. Similarly, if I'm making roofs, I'm just going to draw a quick rectangle here. Now maybe really what happens is maybe I'm not all the way over. I do this, come up here, and so I need to finish this roof off. So as we talked about before in inferencing, just quickly drawing the roof. Now, if I try to clean this, it's not going to do anything because underneath you'll see that there's this plane here. What I could do though is erase one line. Now these three lines become erroneous. Select everything, run clean. Now I now have a perfectly clean roof. My edges are repaired. These are single lines. It just becomes a nice, very clean, simple model. It's a great way to keep things very clean.